we have a lot of guys that want to like ask questions live, and I don't really have the platform where I have a website or anything, so I just use Twitch since I do some stuff on the side with that. If that's cool with you, you know what I mean.
No, that's absolutely cool, man. I like what you're doing. So what's your name again? You said Steve,
Oh,
right?
yeah, my name's Steven. Steven. What can I call you? Can I call you by your first name? What's your first name, man?
Yeah, I'm Casey Taylor. You can call
Casey
me. That's
Taylor.
my
All
name.
right, man.
So
I was gonna say, with the name Fingerboard Connoisseur, I know it's probably got to be weird when people ask you just for your real name, but yeah, Casey, that's cool, man. All right, excellent. All right, well, if you don't mind, can we just dive right into it? Just because
jump in,
I
bud.
have
Go
like a
right
ton of
ahead. Yeah,
questions for
dude.
you
Don't be
because,
bashful. I'm here to.
um,
I'm
personally,
actually humbled by you actually wanting to know about my life. It's kind of cool. So
I
feel
think the
free.
information needs to be out there, man. Like there is a community that we have. You have your own following, and I think it'd be cool to kind of get a little more information out of you, and maybe just get it out there.
Yeah, pry me open.
Yeah,
Pry me
right.
open. Let's go.
All right, well, like just to start off, just so you know, like I'm not just like, I want to tell you why I wanted you on the show. I really think that you kind of have this really cool like feel to your Instagram, where of course, you have your fingerboard connoisseur like whole identity with the company side, but you're also a writer and you also kind of post personally, which I think is cool that you found a way to find this like cool balance to kind of incorporate all these different sides of your life into the fingerboarding Instagram thing. Because usually it's just like people will post their clips and like whenever they get like a mail drop or whatever it may be. But I just think that you kind of have this personal feel, and it kind of reminds me of like an early 2000s Mike Schneider when he would post his random videos and stuff like that, because he had his own personal life, his company, and then his fingerboarding stuff. And I just think that's cool that you like incorporated all that. So like if I can,
Absolutely, man. I don't like to. I don't want to put a buffer on it. This is what I am doing full time. So it's like, I'm breathing it. So might as well practice what I preach. I've been, fingerboarding for over 10 years since I was a little kid. So actually probably over 15 years. So
yeah,
not consistently, but
of course.
always been a shredder, skated hard my whole life, and so yeah, it is a passion of mine. And when I started FBC, it actually started off to be just a tape company.
Really?
And yeah, I'd wanted to just actually supply people with tape and give them advice, more so of what a connoisseur is, and if by definition, it's just someone of the highest rank and knowledge of that skill or sport or hobby,
Yes,
and
of course.
that's what I'm trying to portray with fingerboard connoisseur, so that it's not just a business and I'm not just selling products. I'm more enthused with people asking questions about how to make them. As you see on my site, I don't know if you know that I sell veneer.
Yes,
Now
yeah.
it's been so, not as far as lucrative, but I'm selling more veneer than I have fingerboards. So that's cool because a lot of people are using my wood,
If you don't mind me,
and that's allowing more people to be able to make decks. So
no,
it's actually
awesome.
really, it feels good seeing that. But go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
I was gonna no. I want you to say everything you need to say. I was gonna say because I want to stay. I don't. I always lose my train of thought when I hear so much information because I want to ask like a billion questions. But with that whole idea, you
Yeah, I'll
said
let
you
the
said.
questions come first. I don't want to fill in too many spaces.
No,
My
you're
bad.
good, man. No, I like it that the conversation can continue because then people have something to listen to. But with you selling more veneer than decks, that statement alone, I was on my first episode. I was just talking about how like there is an upswing of companies and things. I think that that's kind of like it shows, with the tie into your name, like connoisseur, like you're kind of like speaking to the higher. You're not making just only making decks. You want to help other people kind of brand themselves and figure like what they want to do out in fingerboarding, which I think is cool. Do you think that kind of influenced from the whole idea of you just wanting to help people advice wise in the beginning? Like, do you think that was kind of like where that branched off from?
A big part of it, a big thing to me, man, is what's with all the secrecy? It's like everybody wants to, hide their method of
Yes.
graphic applications, glue they use,
Mm-hmm.
polyurethane, you name it. I've learned from a lot of great company owners, Chems, Grimy. We got a lot of close friends in the community that are very helpful, but a lot of people do like to keep things to themselves.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're all doing the same thing,
Exactly.
especially people that are younger and they're into this. I'm 25 doing it, and I still learn something new every day. And it's like, the more I learn, the more I can pass on to other people. Skip those steps of all the trial and error, wasting materials, wasting wood,
Yep.
wasting the environment. Why not just skip towards, the end goal of getting a good product? Because everyone had to start somewhere. I started with a gator mold. Actually, before that, I started with a bondo mold that I molded from a tech deck, and that was when I was like 10. So I still have that, and it's, you'd laugh because it's only 26 millimeters wide, but
Well, you made it
that's what
though.
we used to do. So
Yeah.
it's, you know what I mean. So I just, that's my statement. It's like, what's with all the secrecy?
No,
I
yeah.
kind of am trying to blow that away so that more people know. And I got actually contacted by Dennis from Fingerboard Molds, and I don't have any shame in telling that those are the molds I use. And he actually he said, I'm going to try to reach out to all the people who use my molds professionally and have been successful with them. And he's like, I'd really like to debut you personally and doing some of the processes with my molds, and put them on my site. And I said, well, that's ironic because I'm going to try to do a do-it-yourself section of my website to where I
Awesome.
will have those
That's really cool.
implications to where, okay, this is how you need to set up your veneer. You need to cross hatch, and this is the amount of glue that's desired. And this is how, go step by step through the drill process, the pressing process, how many hours. Some people say 4 hours. Some people say a day. Some people,
Yeah.
So there's all these different factors, but there's no information.
Like, yeah,
So
that makes plenty of
whether I get
sense.
an info book out there or make video tutorials, something that I can put in with every order type deal, that's what I'm trying to change. So with Fingerboard Connoisseur, that's what I want it to be. With the veneer, how it is, eventually I'm trying to have. Right now, I'm working on a do-it-yourself kit because the veneer's been doing well, and I ship more across overseas than you would imagine. Actually, mostly to Australia. So I guess they have a deficit of veneer of exotics, but so lots of Australia veneer, but I'd like to be able to sell a kit that, would supply a few boards and then enough glue, the correct glue, and basically everything you need to, in the end, make 5 boards or 6 boards or whatever it may be.
That
So that's,
concept is dope because I think like what you said in the beginning of what you were like towards what you were saying in the beginning, you want to kind of cut the whole primordial stage of like a person starting a company, like, oh, how long should I do this, or kind of get rid of that trial and error period if they have a little guidance in the beginning, and because for the goal of, like you said, like a good product, and
and it
then
would save my
yeah.
fingers because I reply the same statements to so many people of how do you get that finish, and I'm saying Minwax, polyurethane, that's what you use, man, and it's clear gloss. So it's like, over and over and over repetition, there are products that are the best of the best, and I've had to trial and error all these things. So it's like, why would I watch somebody else, trip over themselves 16 times when I could just, help them
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
the finish
yeah,
line? You know what I'm saying?
exactly. No, that I think that
So
that mindset is what the community needs to prevent like lulls in product or like times where we're not. I'm not saying getting new product because there's always something new coming out, but like in the sense of innovative products, like I think it would make a more consistent stream.
yeah, absolutely. The only other thing I'm going to touch on that is with the people that are consistently getting the veneer, it seems to be that I'll talk to them for so many orders to the point that I almost feel bad that they continuously are just buying 10 sheets of individual veneer. So I'm like, hey, don't you want to get a box?
Yeah,
Save
yeah,
you some money. So I'll try to be cost effective with them too, so they understand what they're doing. And then that's when a little thought arose, and I'm like, why don't I try to do something with like a subscription type box to where
uh,
whether it's something that someone that goes on my site and buys one order a week or something like that wouldn't apply. I mean, but someone that's on there all the time, buying a few things a month could help them out.
yeah.
10 bucks, $15 a month, and they get their veneer continuously, and it's like could run like that. And it was just an idea I had, but yeah, just trying to get people what they need for a good price and get them on the information is what I need to work at so that I can get those videos with everything or an information booklet on Publisher, because you can make free books on Amazon now. That'd be something cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I think people that are looking to get in need that metadata, from someone that does it daily, like, especially if you produce the book. I'm sure there's a lot of companies that are coming out, like, and could use that, like you're saying, won't trip over themselves 15 times. That's like a perfect idea, I think.
Yeah, and who makes a fingerboard book? You know, it doesn't have to be. I don't know of any authors, so
Exactly. No, you'd be the first
yeah.
I've heard of so far. Okay, let me ask you this. The visual like aesthetic concept of like your wood. Okay, so I complained in the first episode. A lot of people kind of bitched at me about it. But I am personally not a huge fan of blanks. But I stated like in the interview that I'm a fan of yours because you use kind of like this shell and like you're not just looking to make like natural wood decks. You're looking to see how far you can push veneer in the sense of how it looks and like the finishes that you do and stuff like that. And I think that's like,
Quality.
yeah,
Yeah.
quality, exactly, the quality of it. And I think that kind of brings the art to itself. Because I'm a big graphic guy, like I won't lie. Like I enjoy somebody that puts time and like effort into the graphics that they like put on their decks. But I am like especially like I like guys that take time in that same concept and the craftsmanship and the veneer that they use. Like what made you decide like, you know what, I kind of want to focus on just like making quality like really well made decks that
To be
like,
honest,
yeah.
it was straight up falling in love with the veneer. I really love the different exotic strains, and like ended up finding out that dyeing wood is actually really enjoyable. I know that sounds silly, but I'll sit in my garage and try to make these colors, and I saw people making these teals and these fluorescent greens and things like that. And I'm like, man, how do you do that? So I probably went through so many containers of dye trying to get that perfect fluorescent green, and I
Holy
got it. And doing
moly.
those things and achieving them, it takes, man. What a lot of people don't realize is dyeing veneer is a very long process. So when a lot of people think it could take, a minute or a day, it really takes 2 weeks. So it takes, at least a week of saturation and then about a week or two of dry time before you want to press it. So that being said in itself, I take a lot of pride in the dye process and the actual wood. So when you get your finished product out, a lot of times I feel like, and I'm not calling out any specific companies for graphics or anything because I like graphics too. But when I started this, I thought about that, and I have application methods and graphic decks that I've made that I've used, but I haven't released them to the public solely because one, I didn't want to do graphics. This has been, I mean, if you can't tell, I've got my kind of synthetic, um, you know, shell and carbon fiber thing is my niche as far
Yeah.
as like what my branding. But on the other hand, everything craftsmanship wise, I'm taking the burls and the two tones and all those woods to the maximum,
Yeah.
you know, um, like basically trying to make them look as good as possible and have no flaws whatsoever. Because the way that I look at it is, I've seen a lot of decks, and I've like talked to a lot of companies that make a lot of blanks and then apply graphics, and who's looking at the bottom after you've shredded a graphic deck, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So, you don't notice that there could be a lot of glue or some, very minor scratches and things that, would be on a deck forever, but you'd never know it if there's a graphic on there.
Right.
So, that being said, that's kind of like, I've never sold a blemish deck. So, if anything that I have is even close to that, I keep it for myself, or, it goes in a pile. But
So
I
you get
try
this
to
like purist
strictly,
concept to you when
yeah,
it comes
exactly.
to
It's like I go third ply, or it's trash. I talk and I say that about the countersinks. If
Yeah.
I can't see, if there's a yellow third ply and I can't see the countersink yellow on each ply, I don't feel like that's a sufficient deck. We're not robots, but I've figured out a process that's pretty mechanical to where it penetrates that deeply into each deck. So
Okay.
it's like there are processes that you can figure out to fine tune everything, but we're not machines. But what I'm saying is I've gotten so in tune with the decks and the dyeing and the rounding that I've gotten obsessive with making the perfect deck. It's almost to the point where when I get to the end process, I'm afraid to stamp it because the deck looks so flawless that I don't want to ruin a potentially perfect deck by stamping it just a
Yeah.
millimeter uneven. So it actually it irks the fuck out of me. I'll be straight up. It
Jeez.
kills me because sometimes I'll do that, and then I got to come in with a micron pen and fill in some of the stamp if it didn't fully hit the wood, because every wood grain is a little bit different, and
Yeah.
the ink will stick to it more or less. Big reason why people get engravers. But so it's like, one of those things. Sometimes if I had the choice, I do have the choice, but for branding purposes, I put my logo on there. But a lot of times, if I'm making them for a buddy or a custom or something, I'll leave it
Yeah, you just
because,
send it off. No, that makes plenty of sense.
yeah. So,
Wow, the purest attitude, like at 100. But then again, that just shows your like commitment and passion for the art that you put out. So I really like. I'm sure, and the community has shown how much they appreciate it because, like, I don't know, without people pushing the deck making meta, like I said earlier, it's not gonna go anywhere, and we'll still be, back in '05 writing some craziness. You know what I mean? Like, but
yeah, no, for sure. I've had a lot of people come to me and be like, man, like, and not anyone in particular, I'm not going to say names again, but it's like, man, you do really well just selling blanks. But I'm like, man, they're not blanks. Every single deck that I make, whether it be a orange bottom or whatever, none of them are blanks. Every deck is custom and it's a 1 of 1. So I put together, if I'm making 7 and I'm pressing 7 at one time, I'm putting in thought to every single one of those particular boards, ply by ply, to where when I'm taking it out, I'm going to be super happy with it. And that's my whole mindset, is that if none of this ever sells, at least I got decks for life.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, at the end of it, you always want to be happy with what you have. And, I'm really happy with what I've gotten. So like this last stock, I kind of got in a bad habit of pressing. But now I'm just trying to finish out what I've made and get rid of all the stock and show that,
yeah,
everything I produce sold. A lot of people I take pride in my lacquer job of the, bottom coats, but I put just as much enthusiasm on the top.
yeah, exactly.
So I put just as much work into the top of the deck as I do in the bottom, even though it gets covered with tape. It's like,
Yeah,
that's just as important. So the aesthetics of the deck are everything to me. Rounding, craftsmanship, holes, countersinking. So when I look at other people's work, of course, like I love to support the community. So I'm always out there buying more stuff. But I do like to, now that I make them, I like to take note of other companies and how they're doing stuff and how their rounding is or how their plies are. And it's interesting, man. You see a lot of different, you see it from a different angle when you make them, But
all right, quick question before I move on, because I want to give you time to shamelessly plug. Quick question about companies, and I'm not giving any specifics. I don't like to like point fingers or anything, like, because I'm all about supporting the community. But do you feel like companies, like the majority of because there is a huge influx of companies coming in right now, do you feel like a majority of the companies, like if you can say, like, give me a percentage of how many do and do not, like how many do you think are actually producing quality product, and how many are just kind of like finding their way and trying to build a brand? You know what I mean?
I would say that about 75% of the people are just trying to do something, and a lot of them are kids, not taking it seriously, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Because without them, we wouldn't have like a community.
Yeah. It's a toy at the end of the day,
As far as serious, I would really put that in the lower percentile. Some of these people that even do own the companies, it's put secondhand to them as a side job or something they do in their downtime. This is not my downtime.
Yeah.
So, I'm doing this full time. A lot of people wonder why I don't get stocks out so often. The biggest point is with that is I'm trying to turn my site into a web store, kind of like FBS. And initially that was my goal.
Yeah.
And it's happening. So, I'm keeping up with orders daily of a lot of other things besides fingerboards, to where, I can sustainably keep a job. It took a while to get to this point because I had to pay off equipment, and it doesn't happen overnight,
No, of course, yeah.
But
building a business isn't
at this
overnight.
point now, like I said, I'm selling a lot more veneer, and now this black velvet's coming in, and everybody's loving that, and I'm really happy with the tape, and it's great to have something you can stand behind, like, with armor, and just be like, man, hit me with it if you got criticism. Because
your new baby,
if you're gonna tell me, you don't like it, then I guess you don't like FBS, and you don't like any of the good tape out there, because that's
you're on that quality, with, so. Yeah. No, yeah, that's all I've read, and like everybody that's done reviews is saying like you're making, like, and the fact that you came out, I will say this, like, now that everything that you make is so original and to what you do, and like it's so fingerboard connoisseur, it's all to your brand. Do you feel like, now that you're like you're trying to posture over to being a web store, do you feel like you can see the fingerboard connoisseur brand, ending up on? Would you like to see it ending up on like a flat face site or a Black River Ramp site or a fingerboard store site, or would you like to kind of
Not yet.
not yet? You want to kind of keep everything to? No, that makes plenty of sense though because you
Yeah,
are starting out.
I've had a few companies come to me for distribution purposes and trying to get still keep my branding, but do 10 or 15 decks. And it's never that I was humbled by the opportunity and I wanted to for a little bit. And there were big companies that came to me, and one of which being Cherry Tape. I'm not gonna, EJ is an awesome person, and just I want to be able to give everybody decks, and I also want more people to be able to get them. But I'm only one guy, and
Exactly.
I don't ever want to rush my work. And if this ever turns into something that starts stressing me out, then I'm doing the wrong thing. So I just gotta take things at my own pace, enjoy it, and what's going on, and I'll explain it kind of briefly, is that a lot of people that get my decks, and this is a good thing, but I almost have like a kind of a small knit group of people that really love FBC, and they're the ones that have tried it. So
Yes.
if they've tried it, they want another one. And there's almost been certain people that have said, "Hey, some of the kids, you've got 6 or 7 of them, man. Like, you kind of gotta let the stock for some other people." I'm never going to tell somebody they can't buy more than one board, but what I'm saying is there's, a smaller collective group of people with 5 or 6 FBC decks than a whole bunch of people with one.
Well, can I ask you this?
I'd want more people with one, but that's a good thing. It means they love them.
No, that means your community is
negative
supportive.
feedback so far, which
Yeah, but can I ask you?
I hope to keep it that way. But that's what I'm saying. That's the only issue. I just wish I could get more out there, and I'm trying. But like I said, I'm only one dude, so hopefully eventually I'll be able to get to the point where I can keep up with enough, a good every month stock, and then maybe here and there provide some other companies with some decks. That's the end goal. But right now I'm busy enough myself. So
No, I was gonna say, do you want to posture the FB like your personal releases, because with the rise of companies, the quality decks, as you see, there's large price differences and like economic differences in the companies that are making quality products and the companies that are just kind of starting out and or like more underground, in the sense of how they produce their like products. Do you consider yourself more of like a, I hate to use this word because it's seen usually negatively, but I like to compare like things like Beast Pants and Catfish Barbecue. And would you consider yours more of like a designer style deck, like more of like a high? I don't like to say high end either because like most people like put enough time in it to where it's like a functional board. But do you see yourself like up in that area with those guys, or like where do you rank your boards?
I don't want to boast, and I don't like to put myself on that.
But you can if it's worth it, if it's the product.
Yeah, I would definitely, any deck that I would deliver, I would, back it 100%, just like I talked about with my tape, but even more so. I mean, each deck's so personal to me that, every minute that I sanded it, I'm like just waiting for them to shred it.
So do you see your stuff?
I really do see them as designer decks. I wouldn't charge any less. I feel like they're worth the money that I charge for them.
Right.
And yeah, actually, because of high demand, I did change my prices. So I moved up exotics from a price point that they were at and moved them up $5. That was a choice I made because of demand, and that's fine. I'm just saying, for $30 for what I sell, other people look at it as it's a blank fingerboard, but then you get the fingerboard and you think differently. So, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say my decks are better.
I wasn't asking that.
Fans or Catfish, but I definitely feel like, as far as quality, I have all their fingerboards, and I would definitely put them in the same tier. I like to try to strive for the utmost best quality. If I do one too much of a code, or one countersink off, I'm not selling it, like I told you. So it's never going to change in that aspect just because I start getting more orders or more shit. And that same thing goes with people, is that I want to try to be as customer service worthy as I can. I pride myself on that and getting orders out fast. So 2 things I can say is that that's definitely been a good rapport of mine, is that I always try to get things to people quickly, which if I order something, I want to get it, I want to know that it shipped the next day or that day. So that's that's something good. And then, like I said, I've never had anybody receive something that, even if they spent $50 on it, if it was a shell or it was a custom, that they weren't absolutely thrilled with. When I went to the Florida Fingers event, that was kind of my stock three. And although only about, the ones that I left at home went on the site, 7 or 8 of them sold at the event. And it was so great seeing all the kids set them up right away, not have to wait for them to be shipped and delivered and all that. See them immediately set them up and shred them and say, man, dude, this is the best deck I've ever tried, and it's like, that's all I want to hear. So, I have heard a lot of people say, man, this deck's, better than my Catfish, or it's better than my Beast Dance or Woob or whatever. But it's like, I don't like to say compare anything. I use Catfishes, I use Stacks, I use Boss, I use all sorts of brands. I mean, of course, I like to use my decks the most, but that's all, that's just how it is.
No,
so.
Exactly. No, that makes plenty of sense. And I like that kind of idea that there's like, I don't want it to compare it to anything, but like it's almost like the brands that are worth it are almost at that point where like the quality and the ability to make decks, like you said, you're only one person, and the demand for what they want to put, like the people want, it's almost as if they're like almost kind of got this supreme drop feel. People are waiting for stocks to drop. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're saying people are complaining because when people are buying them, they want to buy like 3 at a time. So it's just like it's just funny to me that like, even though it's such a niche market, like when you find a quality product, the people will jump on it, and that's why like you're one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on the show, because I wanted to keep asking you about, like, I want to transition over to the tape. I want to talk about the tape because like you said, that's like your new thing you're standing in front of, and you're saying, this is my new product.
Yeah, man, I'm hoping to go all the way with this stuff. I mean, I hope that it really, to me, I feel like throughout fingerboarding, I have fallen in love with 2 tapes in my life, and that's FBS and clean sheets. And I haven't used clean sheets for very long, but I know it's very similar to FBS, and I've been looking for something in that, that type of category, because to my knowledge, FBS is not a neoprene foam tape or rubber like everything else is. And FBC tape, the other tape that I sell, I have a lot of people that enjoy that tape, that purchase it, and I like it myself, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
So and I'll be straight honest, it's a little bit thicker, and it's just more porous, and for people that shred, they know that tape is imperative and extremely important in the performance of the deck, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
So through the grapevine, I found this connection, and I sampled it, and I gave the 10 pieces I got sampled out to 10 different people, and everybody had great things to say about it. So I went ahead and got a bunch. So now I'm just like super giddy because it has been selling. Now it's just a matter of it getting on people's fingerboards and seeing how they like it. But I'm trying to keep up with every person that has, and just let me know how they're loving it, because I'll be very, very, very confused when somebody hits me with, I don't like this tape. So I wouldn't get that. It's just one of those, it, you know it's good once you touch it.
Once you touch it, yeah, exactly. You either get
like,
the fat tape or you get the good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
everybody knows.
All right, this ain't the and like I said, you get what you pay for. I mean, I didn't just charge higher because I just found some gold. It cost me 4 times of what this my normal rolls cost.
Yeah.
So it's more expensive for me, but I really want to have this out there. And in comparison to the prices for FBS and clean sheets, which I feel like this is closest to, it's the cheapest of the 3. So not to advertise over the live, but
hey, that's exactly what you're here to do, sir. I was gonna say, I'm gonna be honest though, like that's like you said, like you just said, it's so imperative. Like you're either gonna, when you grab that new deck, and like you're saying, you have such high quality in the decks that you put out. Like, why not slap a good piece of tape on it? Because you're either going to have a first week with this deck that it's just, I got to break the tape in. Like, everybody remembers those days when foam tape became a thing. That it's like you had like a 2-week period that the board had a big cushion on it. You know what I mean? But now it's like, that's why you're the fingerboard connoisseur. You know, you want the quality product, and you're saying, yeah, you're like charging a little more for it, but like you're honest about it. You know, you're saying like it's costing me more, and that's the angle for the community that I feel like people need to, like, other companies should follow. And like I said, this isn't like digs or anything. Like, I just want to see. I want this podcast to be like a standard. You know what I mean? And I want this
Absolutely, yeah.
stream to kind of like show like what companies are considering the new standard or what the innovative standard is, instead of just all over the place rando nonsense. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, everyone knows that, you know, almost every company that has decks always send some tape with their deck,
exactly.
but not all the time you prefer that tape, or you'll
No,
even touch it. Sometimes people won't even, you know, they'll just throw it in their box and grab some FBS, and that's just life, you know. And so it's like, and I'm usually one of those people. For a while, I got used to FBC tape, but then I got a setup with FBS, and I got really locked into it again. I'm just like, man, you know, it's just the tricks you can pull off of this are so much better. So if I were to give any comparison, and I'm not just trying to heighten this even more, but I'd say it's kind of like an already broken in FBS tape.
ooh,
Right when I was setting it up on my first deck, I was with my buddy Ben Beebe, Ben Beebe FB on Instagram, but
holler,
good friend of
shout out to
mine.
the
And
boy.
he set it up, and he's in love with it, and as I am. But it's just nice to hear it from someone else too, and then the other people that are using it are really liking it too. It's so new that, you know, I'm waiting for somebody to hit me with a harsh criticism, but I'm like, it's not happening.
It's not
So,
coming.
you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far I'm trying to give it to everybody that I know shreds hard. So, you know, I got Snorlax, and I got some other, just some OGs, some good sheets, and they're just like, man, this is the shit. So you know, and I'm happy with the name too. Me and my roommate came up with it, and eventually, you know, these first couple packs, I just got it, but I'm trying to make some really cool vinyls for it, so that I'll have a nice new packaging and a cool black velvet vinyl that will be coming
I
with them.
remember.
So
I remember reading it when you first dropped. I verbally said "ooh" because it just black velvet sounds nice. You know what I mean? I want that on my
yeah,
fingers. So shameless plug for
yeah,
the guys. So no, I like that. Like, I like that you kind of came at it in a very, like, I wanted to show quality and all the names, the stuff that you do too. So your whole like entity of the fingerboard connoisseur kind of really ties in really well together. I appreciate the community appreciates it.
well, thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. It's I'm just trying to do what I would want someone else to do for me. Good old golden rule. But it's just it it's in front of me, like I said, and if I've got 200 sheets of this, it's like I'm eager for everyone to get it. So if you haven't seen my, you know, all these giveaway contests, posts, all these things,
Yeah, you
I'm
gotta
not
get it
doing it
out
because
there.
I want to sell. I'm not a big business guy in this, man. It's like I'm I'm doing this for the community, and I'm not at the point that I'm banking or anything like that. I'm
Right.
just doing this because I want everyone to try the tape, and I want it to be one of the three that people talk about, because people talk about clean sheets, people talk about FBS. I want people to talk about Black Velvet. So,
Excellent.
you know, hopefully
Excellent.
a few months down the road, this will be a staple item, and you know, that's what I want from it. Also, the giveaway that's going on. 3-trick line. So, you know, your best 3-trick line. And I made a deck that kind of resembles not only the tape, but when you think about Black Velvet, I think of the red carpet, and I also think of velvet. And so I made the black deck with the red middle plies to
Ooh,
kind of give off that vibe.
there you
And
go.
so, you know,
Yeah, you can go ahead and plug
whoever
the
wins
information
that.
for people that need to do it, like what you have to do the contest. You can go ahead and do that if you want.
Yeah, sorry I didn't make I was gonna make, since it's a little early, and you know, I put it up there to give people an opportunity, because I want as many people to be involved as possible.
Right.
I'm, you know, like I said, some days I told everyone I'd release the winner at 4,000 followers. Sometimes I get, you know, 50 followers, sometimes I get 100 in a day, sometimes it's 10. So, you know, you
Yeah.
never know. But the more hype we get on it, the quicker, you know, we'll get the end result. But like I said, I think there's maybe 10 on the hashtag right now. I'd like to see it get up to at least over 50. And you know, I hate when any person messages me and says, "Oh, I don't feel like I'm good enough," or, you know, my skills, like I'm never gonna win, or, you know, post a comment on someone else. That's not what this is about.
Right.
And I'm not saying just to do it, but it's like I always do this. In the 3 contests I've run so far, which I've always given away my products. The last one I had 3 winners. I mean, just because I felt bad and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to give someone else something, and it's like I always do a runner up because I can't stand. First, I don't like the repost picture giveaways personally. It's just
Yeah,
annoying,
I'm
and I
not a
feel like
fan of that
it's
either.
spammy, and
Yeah.
it's a pet peeve of mine. So I don't care for that, but whatever. I like doing the contest, and I like seeing people have to fight for something, and I think it's cool. So I always will do a grand prize winner that I feel and one or two other people also feel deserve to win, and that's who will win the deck plus a pack of tape. And then after that's finished, I'll go on the live, and with all the 50 entries, I'll throw them in a random generator, and pop goes the weasel, and we'll have another runner-up
Hey.
winner for a pack of tape. And that's what I normally do. And then that way, nobody's left out. You can't say
Exactly.
you're not gonna be possibly picked to get a free prize. I always add
Exactly.
extras, especially with prizes. So yeah, so it should be a good fight and a good fun time for everybody to get in there and nail out some stuff. I'm trying to make it very low on the rule section. The only thing
Yeah.
that I'm stressing is don't cut clips. Just don't do 3 individual clips and paste them together. That's gonna not, that's gonna
Yeah.
invalidate you. Just make it a consistent line. It could be one kid did it all, all in a manual. You could do a tray flip, kick flip manual, and get down and then do a backside flip. Whatever you want to do, but it's just I don't care if you do a combo.
He
That can
wants
be
the
the
raw
one
footage,
trick.
people.
It's
That's what he
yeah,
wants.
yeah. Just want people to submit.
Exactly. And I like that you're like, it's not like a lot of companies. What I don't understand is I don't like, I like post combo contests. I don't like best post combo contests. Like I
Yeah,
like when people give you like multiple like places too, because I mean like I don't understand a lot. There's a lot of fingerboarders out there that ride for teams and have their own sponsors and stuff. It's like this is for people that are coming up. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I really don't understand like this. I guess this is just me complaining in general, but I don't understand like people that are on higher level of fingerboarding and have their own teams they ride for and have their own stuff that do giveaways. Like it's like that's not for you. This is for I don't like want to say the kids because it could be for anybody that's not involved in the competitive side of fingerboarding, but give them a chance to earn something in the
absolutely.
hobby.
Yeah,
You know
make
what I
it
mean? And
fair.
I appreciate that you would do that and consider that there's other people out there that might not have laser flips to like nose grinds. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, it comes with time. And I'm not I'm not saying kids shouldn't practice because I'd love to see fingerboarding constantly growing. I practiced all day as a kid, but I don't know. I just don't like when companies tend and like only speak to the higher end of Instagram or whatever platform they mainly operate on. And that
Yeah, or
I like
somebody
that.
that repetitively wins, or that already
Yeah,
has all these sponsors, or has a million followers. My
exactly.
last giveaways were given to, the people that I feel had really good submissions. Honestly, out of anybody had lower followers. And I'm not saying, hey, whoever sends me, video posted the lowest amount of followers is gonna win. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's not
not
like
it.
a
I'm just
yeah, it's
saying
not like a
that I'm
yeah.
not looking at the number of your followers, and I don't ever look at someone's number of their followers when I have a conversation with somebody. I'm not high and mighty. Just because I have 35 plus 100 followers doesn't make me any different than any one of you, anybody in the community. So that's why I don't treat anybody different than I'd like to be treated, and I do the same to them. So it's like if I don't ever want anyone to feel like I ignore them, especially when there's a contest like this, because I don't ignore anybody unless they're rude. So it's just not my thing. So if
Right.
anyone has any questions, they can always ask. But like I said, it's not supposed to be a confusing thing. My last contest was the early pop out challenge, and that got a little confusing because it was specifying an early pop out. So doing a kickflip nose grind and popping off the rail early, that was just a little confusing for some people to figure that out.
Yeah,
So
if they don't have a lot of skateboarding experience, sometimes it can get kind of weird. But with the understanding of tricks, but no, keep going.
yeah, no, so it's all good though, and we had a good turnout with I think 40 or 50 total submissions, but I'm trying to go as hard and as high as we can with this, and hopefully this also brings Black Velvet more to the surface and to the light, because like I said, once again, I just want more people to have it and to try it, and it's not about the money, it's solely about people getting this new tape. So it'll be really sick, and I'm excited about the contest. So
That's dope.
everyone should try it. It's a quick 3 line,
No,
Like,
yeah, that makes
I do
that
this all
makes
the time.
plenty of
No.
sense, man. Like, yeah,
I
everybody
was in
should give it a
between
whirl.
either a 2-trick line or a 3-trick line, but I was thinking, I was like, man, I know a bunch of people are gonna be busting out some really gnarly 2-trick bangers because I know I can knock out a 2-trick line like of some heat, but that third trick,
Yeah,
that's
that's
when
the one you got to
that
pull
will
out of
be
your back pocket, you know.
exactly. That's gonna take a little extra skill. So that's kind of why I did that, and I know that I saw maybe two of the kids that posted them, and when they got done, they had the hair pull out, throw your fingerboard on the ground, run outside.
Yes, I
Fuck
did
yeah, because
it.
it's just like, man, how many times did you try that? And it's that's what I want to see. And I also always say there's no time limit on the video. You can cinematography the shit out of it if you want to. Film the whole spot you're about to hit. Film your setup if you want to. I'm not asking for that, but I'm just saying it might help you out.
Yeah, right.
So I'm
Get
just I
creative,
look for
people, is what he's
creative,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah, get creative,
creativity.
people. All
Like
right, can I
someone could
ask?
do a super super clean line, and it doesn't need to be super technical. It doesn't always have to be, but
Right.
tech's cool too. But
All right.
go
Well,
on.
can I ask your relationship with your team writers? So like you have your you are like one person, you are the fingerboard connoisseur and stuff, but you are also a company in the sense of like your production and who you produce to. How do you explain your relationship with the guys who ride for you and like you're even like not even guys that are officially riders for your team, but like the guys that are kind of influence you and the people that surround like your peers in your group that kind of give you your advice or like advise you on like
Well,
the stuff that you put out? Like, what's your relationship with those guys?
very well. I mean, everybody in this community is really cool. I don't have beef with anybody. I want to keep it that way.
Right.
And as far as my team, Arnold is the man. One of the coolest dudes I've met. Put him on for more reasons than his skills. He's a good guy. And, I really, to be honest, I get sponsorship questions every day, of course. And, people want to
Of
be a part of
course, yeah.
FBC. And they also do the whole, why do you only have one team rider? And it's like, it's really none of your business. But, it's like, I get that a lot. And really, when I started FBC, like I told you, I didn't know how far I would go as far as the web store, how quickly this would come. When it started, I actually was just going to do the tape, and then I contacted Black River Ramps because I wanted to distribute ramps. So that's what I was going to like kind of dive into, but I actually didn't get a response, and I didn't go through with it. So like that's kind of how it went at first, and then I just dove
Oh,
back
okay.
into the fingerboard stuff. So
That makes sense though. Like there's always
um,
some like disregarding
that's what I mean. So
shit that
I wasn't,
happens.
like say Catho with like fingerboard store. That was kind of like a little envision. Like that's that would be cool to have something like that. So in that regard, I wouldn't need a team really. I'm not didn't really focus on having teammates, but now that it is more of a deck company and it is more like that, yeah.
No, that makes sense though. I
But that, and so I put Arnold on, and I've got a nice little connoisseur fam, and it's a lot of people with some
yeah, no, that's a
decks,
sick
and
hashtag. I see everybody posting.
people know who I've got and who I don't. I mean, like Ben Beebe, I grew up with him. He's gang, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Anybody.
the
So
squad.
it's I don't like to really focus on that, like, oh, you're strictly sponsored and you're strictly this person. Anybody. I've met a lot of really cool people, and it doesn't necessarily make whether they're riding for me or not. I still treat them like they're part of the crew. So that's kind of how I don't know what I'm going to do as far as the whole team, but I did only start this in August. So, I haven't been doing it officially that long. And I don't know. I'm not in a rush to find another teammate unless one perfectly drops on my lap. So that's really how that goes.
No, that
But
makes plenty of sense, and I like that. Like you got this like homegrown. Like I said, it's not so much purist because of course that word kind of seems kind of intense, but you got like this homegrown like you even with the growth of the channel you're staying true to the roots of what you're trying to do, even if like the demand grows and you can't keep up with it, you're not going to force something that doesn't fit. And even with the
absolutely.
team, like you're saying, like if like there's one person on the team because there's one person on the team, like that's who's on the team. Like that's one thing I don't like is like sometimes like the sponsorship concept gets so alienated with who even rides for the team. People don't even know who else rides for their team. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you just tag
Absolutely,
them.
yeah. And some people have these wickedly long, huge teams, and it wasn't about me not wanting to send things all over the world or, free stuff. It's not about that. It was more like, if I'm going to put somebody under my team and I'm taking FBC seriously and, I'm only on a stock 4 and I don't release big stock decks, I do want this, I do want it to be more of a limited type item.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
it's always, unless I have somebody me, that's as fast as I'm not going to, rush my processes because I like the way that they come out and I like the end result. So it's like, if I can't find somebody that I jive with enough, that I click with to the point that I feel comfortable to send them that many boards. I mean, I hooked up Arnold. I hooked up Arnold so that he doesn't need to buy boards. I looked at his skill and him being such a humble guy for who he is that I'm like, dude, fuck it, take 3 decks.
Yeah,
you know what I
here's a
mean?
good
I
pack.
don't have other riders, and now you're strapped for a while. And I threw him some tape too, give him a couple packs, and if he ever needs, I want honesty, and I don't like, I told Arnold too. I said, did you get anything cool when you went to sessions, in Cali and stuff? And it's like, he talked to me about a couple things, but I felt like he didn't want to tell me he got a Beast Pants. And, we had a little debate about that because I got his number and I said, bro, don't ever feel like just because you ride for me that you can't go buy a deck and shred the fuck out of it.
Yeah,
like,
right? Like, yeah.
I'm so against that thought process, and I get it a lot too, like, oh, why are you riding a catfish in your video, when you make your own boards? And it's like, because I have one and I want to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not tied down to anybody. Arnold's not tied down to anybody. This is all for fun once again, and it's, this is fingerboarding, and it's just like, it's like the companies that make boards that don't fingerboard. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the other thing. It's like, I like to compare what other companies' decks are doing, how their sizes are in comparison to my sizes, and keep up with the current stuff. Things are changing all the time, and it's like we're going from 32 millimeter to 33 and a half to 34 to now 34 and a half, and it's just like, man, it's everything. Every day it changes a little bit. So it's like, I don't, I like to try to keep up with as many companies as I can afford to, and the ones that I respect in the game, and that are doing it for the right reasons. Right. So, like I'll never be catfish. I mean, I'm not going to say never, but I'll never be able to 50 decks finish. I mean, I saw one post where it said, I dropped 50 decks, sold out in 9 minutes. You guys are amazing. That's incredible. Like, that's wow. I mean, I'm like, the wow factor to that, it's like, not even the dollar figure. It's just like, that's a lot of damn decks.
Yeah,
and so
demand for that,
the respect that I do have a lot of respect for that. But in my mind, knowing this craft and knowing how difficult it is on my own, it's almost impossible to say that I was done alone.
Right.
And you know what I'm trying to say? So it's like,
yeah.
I'm not have any offense toward anybody. I'm just saying it's a different structure here. I'm just by myself every day, and I'm doing it like I can. Like I told you, if it gets over stressful, then I'm doing the wrong thing. So
exactly. Well, you said hang on. You said earlier, or you just said with the whole like sending decks and like, hang on, I'm trying to remember what my question was because I was listening to the end of what you said. As a writer and like someone who like contributes as like you make your own content, you just released an edit yourself actually like the other day. I checked it out, and like trying your own products and understanding like when your guy, one of your own writers said that he bought a boss, you said, or Beast Pants or something like that. I think the whole concept of advertisement and sponsorship is kind of misconstrued because people think like just because you ride for a deck, it automatically means you're like sold your soul to somebody. But really, it's like if you're not doing advertisement or anything that the company is asking you to do for their name, you're free to do what you like. You know what I mean? Like your Instagram is yours. Like I think sometimes people get sponsorship misconstrued with I still am a hobbyist. It's like
Exactly.
You're allowed
Yeah.
to try, and if you don't try other stuff, how else is your writer supposed to tell you, yo, I really like this feel of a deck. Can you make a deck for me like this? And that leads to you, possibly making a new mold. You know what I mean? I just think
For sure.
people get so walled into this concept of like, oh, this is this side and that's that side, and these are like the whole concept of fingerboarding. The only way it grew in the beginning was like through everybody sharing. You know what I mean? Sharing what they're molding
What's
and
with
sharing
all
what they're
the
doing.
secrecy?
Yeah, right. What's with all the
just-
secrecy? You got to start a hashtag for that, man.
I know, for real.
But can I transfer
yeah, you're
over
right, man.
a little more over to your personal writing though? Now that we're kind of winding down towards the end, and I want to I try and keep this podcast an hour 10, if that's all right. But
Yeah, man, you're cool. I'm just chilling. So I
for sure,
took
man.
this time out of my day for you.
Thank you, my guy.
So.
We do really appreciate it. But as a writer, and like,
hey, man, I think it's cool what you're doing. It'd be cool at the end to see how many people do this.
no, I'm hoping that
it'd
like
be
I can
interesting.
kind of like, I'm not even saying if it's me, if I can inspire someone that even does it better. I'm not saying take my idea, world, but I'm saying
but build on it.
Yeah,
you're
I
saying
want
this is a
someone
good
that
idea.
can speak for us and have people speak for themselves instead of the internet just commenting and people just making random thoughts on that, and that's your idea of this person. But
Absolutely.
about your personal fingerboarding, do you feel like I ask everybody, all the deck makers and all the crafters, do you feel like sometimes you love the craft a little more than fingerboarding, or do you think you have like a pretty balanced relationship with fingerboarding and deck making, or like just crafting in general, like with the
That's a really good question. I don't know, I have a very balanced relationship. I feel like if I can't make it and shred it, why am I making it to begin with?
Right.
Type of deal. So yeah, but I do get really in love with some boards and really in love with just solely sanding and fine work and everything about it. Like I told you, with the rounding. I mean, everything about the actual very last stages of the deck are my favorite part. But all in all, I'm a fingerboarder just like everyone else. But there's a lot of times where and this happens to me a lot, and I've seen other companies that have quoted it too. And at first, I kind of thought of it as a joke, but now I don't. And I think it was either Catfish or Beast Pants or somebody like that was just saying, made a post and said something almost that I thought was a joke, saying, oh, I really love that deck, but it's going to someone else. I get that feeling because I make decks all the time that I fall in love with, and I'm like, oh man, I'm definitely going to set that one up, but I end up selling it. And so I always do that. And so, yeah, like I love the craft and I love making my boards, but at the end of the day, I'd rather somebody else, get to use it than myself.
Right.
So I guess I wouldn't put that any more than 50-50. You know what I mean? At the end of the night, I'm always picking up a board and shredding on my desk, and throughout it, I got it sitting on the dryer in the garage while I'm making boards. So, it's got to practice what you preach, I believe, and especially in this stuff. And like, it's a little thing like I've noticed recently, without shredding and without other companies too, that I've noticed I'm really getting more and more inclined to enjoying 96 or shorter, 96. Under 97 millimeter boards, and
Right.
I wouldn't have really known that unless I got this Boss that I have, and I've been using it for a little bit and enjoying it, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna make a 96 FBC, and I normally make them 97, and even though it's a millimeter, I gave one to Ben when he came over and set it up with Velvet, and God, that was an incredible deck. I mean, it was so much fun to ride, and so that was another one that I ended up finishing, and I was like, oh, if Ben doesn't show up to Florida, it's all good.
Right? He's not gonna
I got
want
another
it.
day. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's the thing, and it's like if I wasn't riding the other deck and I didn't, feel the shorter shape and feel like other people would enjoy it too, then I wouldn't have that experience to give back to my work. You know what I mean? So I definitely owe it all to the fingerboards and to the fingerboarding itself, really. So.
no, like showing the homage, showing the love back to the community, even though sometimes you may want to keep the deck, you may want to hang on to it for a little bit longer, because I think that's kind of funny that like you can have such a, because you are the one creating it. It's like you spent all this time making this perfect board and you saw how good you made it, and then you're like, all right, well, this is going to some guy in Tennessee or something, you know. So I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that's
like
kind of humorous.
sometimes when I got, like I told you, when I got into really pressing so many that I was getting like over pressing and not finishing as many. That was when I was like going to sleep thinking of like which color combos would look the dopest, because I would be like, man, it's really sick when you stack 3 of the same color ply in the middle. And when I got really good at dyeing for a while, it was like, oh, this, these plies are dyed and they look beautiful, but you cut through them halfway and they're fading to maple
Yeah.
again. I don't ever make blank decks. I don't even think I've made a normal maple and walnut deck. So like, that being said, it's just like I'm always eager to see how it's going to look afterward, and sometimes I just fall in love with it. And it's like, now that I've mastered the dyeing to where I never have that issue and I cut into it, that's how I get a lot of those really vivid, thick colors. And like some of the decks I called triple threat, I always come up with goofy names because I'm attached to them,
Right.
and I just come up with something that I feel like matches it. And now it's like a joke. It's funny. I asked my roommate or my girlfriend, what's this one going to be called? Because it's like, it's everything's got a little customization to it. So nothing is just thrown together with a bunch of, oh, these are a shit ton of maple and walnut blanks, and then we're just going to put a bunch of graphics on them and lay them out. And that will change the decks. And to me, that's just so different than what I do. It's just so different. So I don't even know where to jump in there,
Yeah, the life starts at the beginning of the deck for you, not just at the graphic press. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm doing the shells. That's still a big demand. Those are cool. I also want to try some airbrush type stuff, kind of like Genius decks.
All right.
Doing some like painting stencil type work. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, other than that, graphics are potential and could happen. I just, like I told you, I'm partly waiting to get a method that I'm really, really happy with. It's kind of in comparison to like Stacked or Beast Pants, just something that's a really good reel wear, and I have an idea of it, but it's just going to be more of an investment. So it's whether I want to take that step or not. I get a lot of people that say, why don't you make graphic decks or this and that, and I just said because I don't want to right now. That's not what I'm into, and my decks kind of speak for themselves in their own way, so they're different. I'm not trying to be like everyone else at all. So but yeah, and also every deck now is going to come with the black velvet, so I feel like people are really going to start feeling a difference in not only the quality of the tape, but just that coupled with the boards.
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna be stealing really mad. You're gonna be stealing the whole community before you know it, man. I think that's I think that's interesting.
I'm really hoping so, because if it's that good, and it's not just that it's that good, but it's also, like I said, I tried to get something, still be able to obviously make a profit, but deliver it for a price that beats everyone else's price for that exact product, and that's kind of what I did. So, that's the thing I'm most stoked about, is that not only is it affordable for everyone, but it's really, really good. So it's like I've even told people I'm not going to put 100% money back guarantee. I'll give a refund, and that's never happened. But I'm saying if someone really doesn't want it, they can send it back. You know what I mean? Because I know that I really feel comfortable with it, so I'm happy with it.
Right.
So that's one of the best things next to my decks. That's the coolest product that I can stand by. So
yeah, and it's nice to be secured. Like, you're secure behind your product, so you're saying you're not afraid of the quality guarantee, which is cool.
Yeah. And it's also not, and although it does look some people have said it does look almost exactly like clean sheets, but it isn't. So just comparing the two different, since I've tried them both, like I said, I just feel like it's got a little bit more of a broken type feel right away. And so far it seemed to hold up really, really, really well. So that's, of course, the next question is how long it lasts. Sorry. Yeah. So like to get that feedback from everybody, not just one person but 50, and if anyone wants to do reviews, I'm happy to hook people up or do whatever. I like to get my word out. I've been considering trying to do a YouTube or something, but that's another whole
Can of worms right
social
there.
media
Yeah.
that I don't know if I'm trying to dive into right now. So right now, Instagram keeps me busy. So
Nah, yeah, it'll keep you busy if you're doing the right stuff. But transitioning out, just because we're reaching kind of like the end of the interview here, I wanted to ask you, like I like to ask like owners of companies and like influencers of the community. Of course, at the end, I'll give you time to shout out, like talk about any drops or anything you got coming out, and the contest and the Black Velvet and stuff like that. But I wanted to ask you like, or I wanted to ask and kind of put it on record. What is like your dream vision for what you do? Not even just fingerboard kind of sort of like store or like your decks, but like overall, like what is the lasting impression you want to leave on like what you're doing and the products that you create.
Mainly making an impact on kids knowing how to make one from what I've shown or what I've, taught them, whether it's been through a conversation or through, the book I try to publish or, or through, a video tutorial, which is something else I'm working on. So it's, that's the biggest thing, is that through Fingerboard Connoisseur, I don't only want to teach that, I do the Trickpedias, also want to do more of a tutorial than just an explanation and showing of the trick. So it's always a teaching, and that's what I do want. And I also want to have a sustainable web shop to where there's enough products from enough companies that people don't have to go anywhere else. And hopefully
one-stop shop, huh?
Yeah, and then hopefully Black River Ramps comes back to me and says, "Hey man, you're doing good, and here's some ramps," and then we can do that too. So I'm not really letting anything stop me, and sky's the limit. So
that's awesome, man.
Hopefully it'll be a day-to-day thing, and I've got support from my whole family in this, and that's good. And my girlfriend is currently training to become a yoga instructor, and she's doing that, and that's awesome. So we're both
doing your thing,
working on our careers and our stuff, and this is it's my first company that I've owned, but it's going well.
That's good, man.
And I just hope it turns into something that I can definitely rely on for a job. That'd be the end goal. That would be what I would hope. So
as time goes on, I'm sure the community will not mind backing you on that dream, man. I'm telling you. But excuse me. Thank you so much for coming on to the show, man. Like I want to give you time, like I said, at the end, like to plug your stuff, but like I really do appreciate you coming on and like being one of the first few guests that I have to interview, because I wanted to make sure the first few guys, like I said earlier in the show, that like very specifically I wanted to have guys that could set a standard for like the type of quality that we want out in the in the industry. And I think having a writer producing good quality, like I had Fingered Ben last week or earlier this week, and then having you like a finer quality maker and things like that. I just think that like this is like the perfect two guys to start with, and I like really appreciate you being being so responsive, and just like even just to like the community that you sell to, you're always like you're shipping, and you're always posting how your shipping is going and stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you from the community, and thank you for coming on the show, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm humbled, and I really appreciate it, and I hope that anyone that's listening knows that I'm doing this for other reasons than just big business, and that I am trying to make a difference in the community for those reasons. So it's as far as shout out stuff, I don't really have shout out stuff except for a stock coming up. I can't give an exact date, but I'm gonna say before March 1st. It'll be done before March. So and other than that, the contest, I'd like everybody to try to get involved, and everybody's got a chance to win. So if you don't know the rules, check my posts, check my highlights, and if you have questions, just send me a DM. But yeah, man, it was a pleasure. And if you ever need anything again, or you want to bug somebody like Arnold from my team or something like that, I can always get him. And
hey, no, dude, like I said, I'm always looking for writers, like pro writers, to come on the show. So if you guys would like to do maybe a combo, wombo, both of you guys on the call.
Oh well, pro ride. Arnold's not a pro. He's getting there. He's semi-pro, but I'm just kidding. But
gotta give him the dig. Man. Gotta give him the dig real quick. But no, dude, like I said, like I would love to have you on the show again. I always like I said, this isn't like a one time. This is like I'll come at you with maybe a little like different questions, of course, like that.
Little topic or something.
Yeah, we'll have like a topic. Cool. And I want in the future. I want to get some guys who want like maybe if we can get enough like content on here and stuff. I want to get some guys that would like to co-host and stuff and know their stuff. So of course you're gonna be one of the main guys, the connoisseur of fingerboarding. You're gonna be one of the main guys I call. But dude, like I said, thank you so much. Everybody, get your hands on that tape. Get your hands on those decks. All right, we gotta push for this web store. We could always use more stuff in America. We could always use more shops and places to go, and a reliable shipper like our guy right here. But like I said, dude, thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and close the show out. But thank you so much for coming by.
Absolutely, Stevie. Take it easy, man. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too, man. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Alrighty, guys, that is the show, or the interview, I should say. Just to sign off, I want to say thank you, like I said earlier, to the fingerboard connoisseur. Let me get rid of this really quick, because he is off the call. But thank you so much for swinging by, man. It means a ton. Everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube, the podcast, make sure you're following him at Fingerboard Connoisseur. Make sure you get your hands on his products. It's all quality stuff. And as you can see, he's a guy about the community. If you like this stuff, please comment below. Please share these videos. Post these on all the fingerboard websites. Tell companies to come talk to me. Tell companies to come say hello. I am really looking forward to talk to as many people as possible in the community. Just wonderful people all over. Like I said, we just closed out with one of the greatest guys we have in our community that's doing it for everybody, like the board makers, the riders, and producing real quality products and setting the standard is what we need to push for. So, like I said, I want to close out calling any companies that want to advertise or possibly talk about a product dropped or maybe even come on the show. Make sure you DM me at Stevie Harkins FB on Instagram, or you can even message me on Twitch if you're watching live. But as usual, thank you for joining me on The Sesh with Stevie Harkins. All my information is posted right in front of you if you're watching the live stream or watching the podcast. Make sure you're coming in, checking in on my Instagram, and making sure you're keeping up to date with all the new stuff we got coming out. Later this week, we're going to have an interview with Cherry Tape. So make sure you stay tuned in that. And that's the show for today. So thank you guys for stopping by. Like I said before, I'm Stevie Harkins FB. We're going to get the jam going here, and we're going to get out of here super smooth. I'll see you guys next time, all right?